Howdy folks and welcome to 15 Nautical Mile Arc. We are back in the Caribbean today and we are going to fly back to St. Barts, and today we're taking off from Saba. And the reason I wanted to do this is, if you recall, when we flew from Princess Juliana to St. Barts, we had a few issues with the livery of the airplane and scenery mishaps where flying over the runway would cause us to crash. It interpreted our presence as a crash. So I fixed that by simply turning off runway follows contours, and I fixed the livery by reloading the aircraft once the sim was loaded. So I wanted to give another shot, and I also want to take off from a different place. So this is Saba. Obviously this is a Freeware airport here. I think it's a port from X-Plane 9 or something, so it's kind of cartoonish, but it's better than nothing. And I was thinking about modeling this myself for the gateway, but I figured, someone already went through the work. Why reinvent the wheel? And also there's a bunch of towns and stuff modeled here too that we may see when we fly by. I'm not entirely sure if we're going to have time for sightseeing, but look around on your screen as you're watching this and see if you see some towns and stuff. So this is the Twin Otter, and this is Winair. This is the exact plane with the exact livery that you would see in real life flying from Saba to St. Barts. I do have real world weather turned on this time, and it looks like a clear day, where last time I flew this, real world weather was stormy and windy, so I just flew with clear skies. But today we do have real world weather. I forgot to check the direction of the wind, but I'm assuming it's going to be the same direction it is every single day of the year, which means we will be flying over the hill at St. Barts, just like the other video, a couple videos back. And we will be doing a full flap nose down landing, just like before. We will not be doing a slip landing, as people talk about on the internet, because they do not do that in this plane. I did the research. So anyway, with working parts here, we are going to try this again. I'm just kind of admiring that water in the background and the full reflections turned on with the mountainous areas, and this is pretty neat. So if you hop in, we already have our cabin lights turned on and everything ready to go. So we are just going to shut the back door, which we have to do from here. Then we're going to jump up here and shut our door as well. And I do have a checklist for this plane, which is hilarious because there's really nothing much to do here other than start the engine. So battery is already turned on because we had our lights on. So we just need to go over here and get our fuel turned on. My yoke does not turn these fuel levers on for some reason. So we'll do that. Props will do forward, just because we don't get a prop sound if they're in feather, which is a big bummer, but that's just how this is modeled. Alright, so now we're going to come up here, all the way up here, and then we're going to turn on the lights that we need. No smoking, fasten seatbelt, everybody's boarded. I think we can turn off the entrance lights now. We don't need a full bright, and we can turn on some of our panel lights here a little bit. Not fully on, but anything else we need here? Taxi lights, not yet. None of this we don't need yet. Alright, so we are going to come down here and turn on GPS. We are going to put Saba in the GPS, St. Barts in the GPS, just because I've never flown there from Saba before. And I don't want to get too lost. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty obvious once you're in the air, but I just wanted to make sure everything will be okay. So we are going to, do we have a flight plan in here to clear out? Oh, hey, it's already in there. Oh, that's funny. This must have been the last time I flew this plane was for St. Barts. That is St. Barts, isn't it? I think so. Let's go back to here. Except let's do direct. Direct to, there you go, St. Barts. There we go. 26.6 nautical miles. Simple as that. No NDBs, no radio, no instruments, nothing to do here. There's a VOR and NDB at Princess Juliana, but we're not going there today. So I think we are ready to start this plane. Let me turn on some radios here first. Alright, we're not going to use them though, but we'll turn them on. Alright, I think we're set. Static elements, there aren't any static elements, I don't believe. I have that written down though to remove them, although I don't see them. Alright, first thing we're going to do then, turn on our fuel boost. And we already turned the fuel on. So we're going to come back up here, we're going to hold this down until we get to start up. And that should take care of that. Yep. And I like that you can watch the props turn. Alright, come back here, turn on the other one. Should be all set there. That nice loud sound. First, now we come up here, turn on our generators, which I forget where they are. You have to reset them first if you want your generator lights to turn off down below. Ooh, listen to those sounds. Oh, such a nice sound. Alright, we don't have to be too cold in here. Let's turn that up a little bit. It's not really working, is it? There we go. Alright, pitot heat and taxi light, because we will be taxiing away in a moment, and the bleed airs. And we look down here, and all these cautions and warnings should be out, and they are. No autopilot today at all. We'll just follow this roughly. Alright, so let's taxi on out of here. Now, unlike St. Bart's, we should not have a problem taxiing here, because at St. Bart's, if you recall, we also have a crash or a collision problem when we taxi in front of the main terminal. So even though I fixed the runway portion, we still have to be careful of that main terminal when we get to St. Bart's. So let's just keep an eye on that here. So I think we'll just taxi out to the right. I can't remember the runway name, but that's what we'll do, and then we'll take off into what I'm assuming is the wind direction, given it is the Caribbean and nothing really changes there much. Oh boy, birds. Let's hope we don't get a bird strike. If we do, then we'll have to restart everything. Alright, here we go. Okay, bird, stay where you are. Please. Oh, that made me nervous. That's about as close as you can get to a bird strike without actually having one. And now we're going to have deer. Where'd they come from? Amphibious deer, I guess. Looks like somebody modeled some moving radio equipment here, as well as some boats and things. I think on the other side of the island we'll see some cruise ships and stuff too. Let's get our first set of flaps down. We're just gonna, whoops, I forgot you have to hold them in this one. I've been so busy flying bigger aircraft like the 727 and the 1900D. I forgot what it's like to fly this little guy. Alright. Should be able to spin around here without a problem. There we go. Alright, we'll hold the brakes a second here. Alright, hop on inside. So we're going to head out towards the north. 30 degrees is kind of, you know, north-northwestish. And then we'll turn around and fly. I'm looking down here. Turn around and fly towards St. Bart's. There we go. I kind of wanted to fly around the island first. Maybe we will. Maybe we will fly around the island and then we'll head to St. Bart's. At any rate, I'm going to get 20 degrees of flaps going on. I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to hold the brakes while we increase the throttle. And away we go. STOL. We should be off the ground here right before we even get to that second set of tire tracks. This is a very short runway, of course. And up we go, and windy. Look at that crosswind. That was not very smooth, was it? Wow. That was an insane crosswind. I think we're going to fly around the island. and then we'll head to St. Barts. It's only like a 7 or 8 minute flight once we're up to speed. We'll just fly around here. In fact, I might actually do an outside view, I think. That's awesome. Version 3 mesh, of course. Man, how high is that hill? I didn't look that up yet. We're already 1,000 feet. And we're still nowhere near the top of that mountain. That must be a 1,500-foot mountain or so. Alright, let's nose down a little bit, get some speed. You don't need to go too terribly high. So there you go, we got some modeled cities and things. Wow, feel that wind? Did you see that? That's crazy. Oops, it's hard to fly one way and look the other. There's a town, a couple towns there. Alright, so we're 2,700 feet and just cresting the top of that hill. And it is a windy, windy, windy day. Alright, I think that's enough flying around. Oh, let's fly around one more time. Let's fly around and see the runway. Some sailboats down there, cargo ship, although I think a cruise ship would be more likely. Then again, they need supplies too, I guess. There you go. I think I got some wing view somewhere. There we go, that's what I meant. Make sure we're still gaining. Those roads are pretty funny, the way they just kind of go up and around. Although some of them have switchbacks, just like they would in real life. Not sure what those white stripes are there. Wow, this wind is insane. Wow. Alright, some more cities modeled. So that's all. Whoever did this airport did all that too. I didn't do that. Okay, let's get some speed and fly towards St. Barts. There's a runway down there, one of the shortest in the world, and that did feel short, let me tell you. I guess I could have used 30-degree flaps in that situation, but I knew we'd be fine with 20, and we were, barely, but we were. And then that wind just nabbed us as soon as I lifted the nose gear off the ground. We started skidding a little bit. That was crazy, I did not expect that. One more look at Saba. That's not the name of the airport, by the way. The name of the airport's in the description of the video if you're really curious, because I can't really pronounce it well enough to try to say it. There you go. Now we're in favor with the wind. We're not getting blown around too much. They can't even see any of the islands up there. We're flying right over the airfield now. There we are. It's a nice scenery for free though. Although you can tell it's a X-Plane 9 port, but that's okay. Alright, I have to watch my gauges. It's hard to see the actual horizon there. I'm watching my GPS to line up. I'm going to trim down because we're still climbing like crazy. I think 4,000 feet or so, or 6,000 feet, what am I thinking, will be enough. I'm not sure what their actual altitude is for this flight. It can't be much more than 6,000, I would think. In fact, since we're a commercial flight, I'm going to turn my landing lights on. Turn my taxi lights off. Alright, let's try to stay around 6,000 feet here. It's really hard to tell what's going on if you just look out the window. This ocean is blending into the sky. I'm just doing everything IFR right now, pretty much. Still climbing though. There we go. I just heard thunder. Did I just hear thunder in my headphones? Oh. All of a sudden the island. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. The weather just updated and I heard thunder. Well, now we're in the clouds. Yep, see that? These are storms. When they spin like that and go down to the ground. That was thunder. And we're going to probably get some turbulence here given how we're flying. Well, this is an unexpected treat. Again, you see the clouds reflecting in the water. Then you can see the shadows from the clouds on the ground and the spinning storms. Alright. Now we're in IMC. I did not expect that. Alright, good. We've leveled off about 6,000 feet like I had planned. I just realized I forgot to check fuel. We're flying with more fuel than we need probably. Well, that's okay. Oh, we're still climbing a little bit. This is really neat. I did not expect this weather here. Those clouds look like they're hugging the ground. Oh, we're still climbing again. That's okay. I guess I could have threw on some autopilot, but that's okay. Look at those clouds spinning around. You only get that if you have real world weather turned on, I believe. If you just have broken or scattered, I don't think that happens. We have to come down before too long though, because we're gonna have to line up for the airport. This point's directly to the airport, but we're gonna have to come out a little bit and churn into it. I see the island up ahead. Pretty soon we'll have to go out to the west a little bit to line up with the runway. This is going to be very interesting with these clouds if they're really that low. But anyway, in case you didn't see my previous St. Barts video, St. Barts is famous for being a dangerous airport because you have to come over the hill and land nose down in order to land on the runway, because if you try to land on the ocean side, you'll be landing with the wind, which means to keep your airspeed fast enough, your ground speed will be atrociously fast, and it'll be difficult to land on the short space you have. So to land in the wind at the slowest ground speed possible while maintaining airspeed, you have to come in over the hill. And that's why it's done that way, and that's why it's famous for being so scary. Now, Twin Otters land there all the time. That's not anything fancy or whatever. But it's a full flap nose down landing. I'm starting to come down now a little bit on purpose. So we'll do full flap nose down, which means we'll come over the crest of the hill pretty much at stall speed with full flaps, no throttle, and then we'll point down. And we'll gain a little bit of airspeed, but just enough to land safely without stalling. Now, if you're in something like a Cessna or something and you didn't have time for flaps because you weren't paying attention, you could always do a forward slip, where you step on one rudder as hard as you can while banking the other direction, and that will cause you to slip, which means you'll drop altitude very, very quickly without gaining any airspeed. And there are certainly situations when that's appropriate. However, in this aircraft at this airport, that's not how it's done. Mainly because you don't need to, and secondly, you normally do not do that with flaps on an aircraft. Alright, so our runway is right here. It looks like it's flat on the way in, but it's not. There's a ridge there. It's not as dramatic in the sim as it is in real life. But it's, you know, it's a little bit of a challenge, and we succeeded last time several times. And here comes our clouds. I was kind of enjoying that little peak at the runway. So I've killed the throttle now. We're going to come in, get below these clouds. Then we'll line up and then we'll bleed off some speed. And then Princess Juliana is straight in front of us, even though we can't see it with the clouds. I'm using my GPS to tell where we are. I'm a little nervous because I can't see the airport anymore. And there are no instruments, approaches. And I do not know how high the base of these clouds are, so I have to use my altimeter. We're at 3,500 feet, so we got plenty to go. So we're going to have to pop out below these clouds. And then try to line up with the runway from there. Clouds are still spinning. There we go. Runway in sight. Now we're below the clouds, but we still have cloud shadows on the water, cloud reflections. We have water reflections of the mountains, if you want to call them mountains. So we still need to come out here a little bit. So that cloud base was about, I don't know, 2,300 feet, I guess. Okay, I don't want to slow down quite yet. We've got plenty of time before we need to slow down and get flaps out. And my landing lights are still on, right? Yes, they are. Alright. I don't want to drop below 1,000 feet yet, so I'm going to give it some throttle. I'm using the throttle to control our pitch. It's because we're still dropping. We're at 1,200 feet. There we go. Now our pitch is coming up. I don't want to gain altitude either. I just wanted to stop dropping. Now we're cooking. Alright. Now we'll start coming down and manage our flaps, and I'll add throttle as needed as we get closer. Fine tune a few things. Our weather changed again. Wait until we're in the white arc before we apply flaps though. 1,100 feet, descending quickly. I don't know they even had clouds in the Caribbean. 700 feet, so we're gonna slow down our descent a little bit. We have to make it over this hill without clipping any of these trees, right? First set of flaps, or 10-degree flaps. Increasing the throttle. 20-degree flaps. Decreasing the throttle, guys, in that white arc. 30-degree flaps, it's getting floaty on me. And full flap with a lot of throttle. We want to stay around that 80 mark though, full flaps. We don't want to go too much above that. So one hand on the yoke, one hand on the throttle, adjusting some trim. Now we're going to come down a little bit because we want to graze this hill. We don't want to be too high and nose down. We want to be as low as we can before we nose down. And providing I still have runway contours turned off, Oh, we got a crosswind. Oh boy. Providing runway contours are turned off, we will not crash when we cross the threshold of this runway like we did previously several times. Keep in mind the crash wasn't contact with the ground, it was the sim messing something up. Alright, so my throttle's coming back now. We're going to try to cross this at close as we can to stall speed, and then we'll nose down. Okay, so we're just above stall speed. Alrighty, so here we are. There is a hill there. Okay, we're just above stall speed. We're going to nose down now. Kill the throttle. We're nosing down. See, we are pretty high. See that? We're going to level off. There we go. And I bounced. And I'm stalling. There we go. Reverse. There we go. I'm not too happy about that bounce, but we had some kind of weird crosswind going on there. Flaps coming in. But anyway, so we did not have a scenery problem this time, thankfully. Although I admit, I was still kind of freaked out we would. I think that's why I bounced a little bit, because I was a little nervous about it. There we go. Whoa, that happened last time too. There's something about that, and like, I don't know, the friction there is different or something. Let's come up here, turn our landing lights off now. And come up here and turn our taxi lights on. And we'll come out here. Alright, so we cannot taxi in front of that terminal or else it'll kill our engines. So anyway, it doesn't look like much of a hill here, but you can see it when you're flying, or you feel it when you're flying it. I believe for FSX, or prepared Airsoft, I believe it is, has a... Jeez, that keeps happening. Has a scenery package you can get that accurately represents the hill, grade, and everything. Right, so we're going to stop by the terminal but not go in front of it because it will crash our plane. So let's just go right about here. Man, I gotta fix those brakes. Alright, turn on the parking brake. Come up here. I think it's this one. Alright, we'll turn that off and come up here and turn on our entrance lights. And fasten seatbelt can come off. We'll keep those on. This can come off. We already turned everything off. Turn those down a little bit, and we will watch replays in a second here. I can figure out to turn my lights off. There we go. Anything else we can turn off? We can turn off for GPS. Actually, no, you can't. Oh, you can turn it off with this one. Good. Some of them you can't. Come back here. Our lights are on nice and bright, aren't they? All right, let's hop outside and have a look at some of the replays. All right, so here we are coming over the hill, which there's a little hill there. It's not as dramatic in real life. Coming down, nose down, full flap landing. I leveled out. And oh, that bounces worse than I thought. Oh, how disappointing. Oh, man. I was going to try to turn there. I should have just rolled out. Oh well, let's check out passenger view. Having a nice look out the window. It was a nice nose down. And that was just going too fast and came out of there too steep, I think. Yeah. Alright, so here we are under a cloud shadow. Pretty dark cloud shadow too, so... Well, it's kind of interesting flight because my landing was much, much worse than the other time I did this. But we had working scenery and working livery, so... If this interests you, I guess I would suggest going back checking out the other St. Bart's video. I think it's only 4 videos back or something. It should be pretty easy to find. And it was definitely much more exciting to have those mishaps in the previous flight. But this flight was pretty awesome with these clouds. So I'm quite disappointed in my bounce at the end of the runway. But hey, can't win them all. Even professional pilots have bad days sometimes. So I'm just going to leave it. Obviously, I'm not going to redo it because you're watching this. But there we have it. If you found me by accident, please subscribe if you are a regular subscriber. Thank you for your continuing support, and I'll catch you on the next one.